What is going on, everybody? It is your favorite brand of maple syrup, Leaked Gaming. Here we go, landing in at Pleasant Park, or Parco Pacifico. As you see here, we're landing in here. We got a squads, team of 4. We actually got a team of 3 and a random, but that's okay. And honestly, this game starts off really rather slow, but don't worry, the ending gets better. I end up pulling off the clutch with 1 HP to win the game with a double kill at the end with 1 HP. So even though games start off like this and you're the only one in all Parco Pacifico, you'll be alright, because things get better. It gets better, it gets better. So as we're traveling along here, we're just looting everything. Everybody's split up, and at this point, we're getting a little bit ballsy here because nobody sees anybody. So we're all in different houses at this point, kind of looting, doing our own thing. And just be careful. When this happens, don't get too comfortable. And that's kind of usually what is our downfall for anyways. The guys that I play with is we get too comfortable, be like, okay, we decide nobody's here at all, and we all spread out and don't worry about it, and then somebody goes down and ends up getting finished. But right here, we see somebody behind the gas station over here. And what we both immediately do, the two of us, is jump up and get the high ground, right? So my teammate there, Lil B, is up on the high ground. I'm on the high ground, and I see my other teammate down there, Nighthawk, came around on the low ground, and that guy was done, okay? There was no way that guy was getting away. 2 high, 1 low, and we're coming in from both sides and up top. Again, split up and rain fire and take him out. And so that's, again, we talked about this in episode 3, and we're seeing it again now. Always split up. Trade your, give your minis, give your shields to your teammates. Don't hog all that. You know, it's great to have it all, but, you know, it's helpful if they have no shield to pass those along. So I'm sure you guys already know that and already do that. And we're moving along on out here. By the way, I haven't talked about this here on YouTube just yet, but if you have not friended me on Vero, go ahead and add me over there. Just look me up, Kyle Stroud, and you'll see us there. And we share all the content there. We share super exclusive little clips of, you know, endings and things like that, little teasers and stuff. Also, Leaked Gaming on Facebook. Links in the description for that. Check that out as well. Here we go. Don't worry. I promise. The gameplay gets a little bit better here in just a second. We're moving along. Right here, we're just kind of connecting the houses, and I kind of did this on purpose because I felt like people were going to come in here. As you see, the storm was right behind us, and it was moving in quick. And I'm jumping around on top of the house here because I'm looking for people, which I end up seeing right here in the soccer field. So right here, we're split up. We got 2 in the one house over there, 2 straight ahead of me and my teammate here on this house. Now, what actually happened was that was the random that just went down. My teammate was trapping him in the basement and made him get killed there. So we kind of, that was kind of intentional to some degree, but I'm getting pinched here between the 2 guys. Again, I should have been on better cover, but I see my teammate down there, Nighthawk, to my right, who's raining fire on this guy, and I don't know what happened here. I shot him at the same time, but I ended up going down. Nighthawk got my back, covered him there. That guy was getting shot and didn't know while he was rushing me. They take care of the last guy while I'm down here. Again, as you see, I'm just sitting still, by the way. I'm not crawling around. As you begin to move, that starts you to bleed out, which means you die faster. So if you can, in a situation like this, a perfect example, don't move. Just sit still. Don't be crawling around when you're down. It'll make you die quicker and bleed out faster. It gives you some extra time. Not in this instance, I didn't really need extra time, but I had no reason to move anyway, so I didn't worry about it. Down here we were looking. We weren't sure if there was one last guy in the house or not because they only went down. They didn't get eliminated. So apparently their last teammate is somewhere. We don't know where. And at this point, after we're done looting, we decide to get a little bit of a head start on the storm, since that's something that we're generally not too good at. Again, we get tied up in finding people and getting kills and usually forget to move on out with the storm. And so this worked out pretty well so far. Nobody landed with us at all until right here. As we're moving out, we see some people up there on the hill, and now right now they've got the high ground, but they didn't see us, so we kind of stopped and got down a little bit, and Lil B here shooting at somebody in the lake. I don't know what he was screwing around with the crossbow, trying to get that challenge for week 3, but we're moving up on the hill here. Now be careful. If they saw us up here, they would have the high ground, so we're talking amongst ourselves at this point, saying be cautious. They may be sitting on the other side of the hill waiting for us, which they were not. They went down over here to our right, and they ended up engaging with somebody else across from them on the other side of that house. So we're putting some fire on here. They're getting fire from the front side, and we're noticing, okay, look, we've got to move in the storm. We've got to come down, and this is not the best place to come down into the double fight here from them far away. So let's run off the back side here where they don't see us, kind of go back into the Anarchy Acres back there, and kind of just exclude ourselves from this fight. Those two are fighting each other. We're just kind of keeping an eye, making sure nobody's coming after us at this point, and both teams are focused on each other. So it gives us time to disengage and run around here and not worry about it. So you don't have to go after every fight that you're involved in or every fight that you get involved in. You can disengage as well. You know, being careful here that they're not going to follow us here. We're always checking our back to make sure, but for some reason, neither team really paid attention to us. So we were free to move on out here, ended up looting the little mine here. Nobody had done that before us, and so we got some extra materials, got some ammo and things, and moved on out up onto Anarchy Acres, where we came across... You've yet to find out. Just a second. Here we go. So one other thing, too. Pay attention here. You see how my one teammate, Lil B, is way up ahead? He's rushing. He's already in the house right now, and we're not even there. He's telling us right now that there's people in the house, right? So we're trying to catch up to him at this point, and he's already engaging. So that's part of why he dies here, because he was pushing too hard. But he was on top saying they're in here. I heard him through the wall, so I decided, okay, he's putting pressure through the roof. I'm going to put pressure through the wall here. This guy was hiding underneath the stairs. Found him, got a hit, and then came back in to try to finish him off, but he ran out the front door. I see him just run out there. So I'm engaging with this guy. I'm not sure. I didn't know there was someone else upstairs, but my teammate Lil B is on the roof engaging with someone else as I'm chasing this guy down here. And he ends up going down here, and they finish him off while I'm engaged here. Should I have gone in and helped him? Probably. This threat wasn't really trying to engage me. He was more trying to run. But I was figuring that Nighthawk, my other teammate, would have been up there doing that. And this guy's in a bush. This is the guy that killed my teammate, Lil B. What? Why? Why are you running around in a house with a bush? Like, what are you... What? I almost overlooked him for a second. He was under the stairs, and I thought it was just loot, like not really paying attention. So it kind of half-worked, but... Anyways, it's just, if you're going to use those bushes, at least use them and be a real scrub with them and, like, sit in a field somewhere. Don't just run around in a house. It's just, like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You know what I'm saying? This guy, right now, I was looking for that guy that was crawling away here, and I found him back here. He had crawled this way. Luckily, they all dropped some med kits for us, so that's always helpful. Again, share those with your teammates if they do need them, as I dropped one here. But we had one that got dropped upstairs, so old Nighthawk had one as well for himself. Now, right here, again, we got 24 seconds. My teammate says he's got a jump pad, or I actually have a jump pad as well. So we decide, you know what, instead of running, let's get the jump on him, get the jump with the jump pad, and kind of launch on in here. And so there's not a lot of people left, 21, and, well, I guess that's a handful, but we're a team of 2, and against teams of 4s, there's a couple teams there we see. We tried to land on these houses here because we thought they were in the circle, which they were. I thought they were not, but... The thing is, we saw they were already building bases, right? So sometimes, actually, a lot of times, the best thing that you can do is build a base on top of an already existing structure, like a house, because it's harder to completely flatten that. So we like to do that if at all possible, and that's kind of what we did here. We just added to it a little bit, expanded a little bit on the roof, but we had the base be the house. And so, number one, you're already up a couple of levels, right? You already got some height that you don't have to build to and use materials, but also it's harder to knock them down. Now, right here, I'm trying to figure out what in the world is going on. These guys have a jump pad in their base, and they're just jumping around. I guess I don't know if they're trying to scout the area to see what everybody's doing. I'm not sure what exactly they were doing, or if they were just, like, trying to troll everybody, but they're literally just bouncing around on their jump pad in their base, and I don't know, but... So far, that's the only team that we know for sure where they're at. The other team, we're not sure. We're trying to figure out what the heck's going on. I decided, since they're fooling around, to jump down and hurt myself, apparently, since I didn't watch how high I was. So I wasted the med kit, which I could have definitely used later in the game, but that's okay. We decided to move out. Since they're not really a threat, they're jumping around, playing, you know, patty cake or jumping on their trampoline in there. They're not really giving us any kind of trouble at this time, so it gives us time to move on over. And again, what we do here is build a structure on top of this bridge, right? So we're building on an existing structure already, which is just barely in the circle, which is fine. We know nobody's going to come up behind us out of the circle then, and that helps us out. So again, it covers one side of us. This is easy stuff. You guys should already know this, you know. If you can use the storm to your advantage, the storm's coming from the back, you know nobody's going to come up behind you and flank you because they're not going to be running out of the storm in this late game. So use that, build to your advantage. Again, we're building a little bit of expansion here, and there's a team in front of us, and there's also that other team with the jump pads over there to the left. And so right now, notice how I build that wall to my left to block those guys on the left as I'm engaging with these guys that are straight ahead because they're closer, and I don't have a sniper rifle. So I build that wall to my left to assure that I won't get shot from the left, is all I got to worry about is these targets directly in front of me. Something that my teammate Nighthawk over there didn't learn. when he begins to use his minigun here, you'll see that he gets sniped, and I don't think it's from these guys because he's putting fire on these guys, and so am I, but he gets dropped really quickly, and almost dropped a second time for that matter, and it's by the guys on the left, I believe, over there, and that's his own fault. I don't know why he's standing up there like that doing that. All he had to do was put one wall there, and he would have been just fine, but he didn't, and hopefully he learned his lesson. It made me have to come over here and revive him. But during this time, something funny happens, and they disengage from us, which they weren't really too engaged in the beginning, in the first place, and they start to engage with each other. These two bases begin to fight each other over here. And once we notice this, again, it's teams of 4 here, squads against, and we got 2 left. So we're kind of definitely at the disadvantage. There's 2 teams of 4 and us 2. 4 here, 4 to the left, and us 2. So we decide, okay, dude, the storm's about to close in. We put some cover on these guys. They're kind of moving towards each other. They're rushing each other. They're fighting each other, the 2 teams of 4. Let's get on out of here and close some ground because the storm's going to move in a second anyway, and we're going to have to get out. Plus, we're going to have to run through an open field. So let's take the advantage of the time that they're not focused on us and get out. So we hop on out, and we go to this bigger base to the left here rather than the one to the right, because the one to the left is looking, their backs are to us. See, they're engaging with those other guys to the right there. So it gives us time and the sneak to get behind them, as the team to the right may see us. They're facing us, but they're not really fighting us because they got other guys here putting pressure on them more so than us. I get a few snipes, and Nighthawk gets dropped by that team actually, but they're disengaged. Their backs are to me, as you see right here. This guy's back is to me. He doesn't even know I'm breaking this down behind him. I drop him before he can even turn around. And I wasn't paying attention that there's a guy to my left behind me, which I find out here shortly after I start shooting this other team, because he leaves me with 1 HP left. 1 hit point. And at this point, I'm panicking because I think he's going to rush me, but I decide to start shooting grenade launchers, which didn't really do a lot of good. Besides put pressure on that guy, he decided to duck and get down. I get a nice little headshot to remove his shield by 70. And I'm putting pressure, which makes him begin to rush, and I get the headshot right there. Oh, man. I was shaking right there, shaking in my boots. I see this guy. I'm not really sure what he's doing, but I think he's engaged with one of the other teammates. So instead of finishing my bandaging, he actually kills them right there, and I finish him off. And that is a wrap. Boys, pressure was on. The pressure was real for me to come in clutch with 1 HP to finish that guy off, dude. I had no time to bandage. He was rushing at me, and that is how you win a victory royale or Vittoria Reale. Okay, so anyways, thanks guys for watching. As always, be sure to like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys want to see in the next video. Hopefully you guys learned something. Always work with your teammates, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.